So Shiloh Jolie-Pitt is the third child of Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt's to stop using the Pitt last name, but they are the first one to legally drop the name. And don't forget that once upon a time, Angelina Jolie was Angelina Jolie Voight because her father is John Voight, but he is a piece of shit. If you know who John Voight is, if you know his very loud political opinions that he never stops giving. Yeah, Angelina is estranged from her father and went as far as to legally drop the Voight last name to have nothing to do with her father. John Voight is MAGA, right? Yeah. He's so strange and gross and angry. What'd you say? John Voight is the main bad guy from the original Mission Impossible. Yeah, amongst many, many other films that he's done. So did her brother, right? I actually don't know on that one. I don't know. I don't know the answer on that one. But anyway, so Shiloh, who was the first biological child of Angelina and Brad's. So remember, they have they have 6 kids in total. They have 3 adopted, 3 biological, because they have Shiloh and then it says it right here. Maddox, Zahara, Shiloh, Pax, Knox, and Vivian. So Maddox and Zahara were adopted, and then they had Shiloh, and then Pax I think is adopted too, and then Knox and Vivian are the twins. All right. 1 week after Shiloh filed to drop Pitt from her last name, I'm pretty sure Shiloh uses they them pronouns, so I'm going to stick with they them. Their last name, a source close to Pitt tells people that the father of 6 is aware and upset about the change. He's upset and aware that Shiloh dropped his last name. He's never felt more joy than when she was born. He's always, I'm just going to read the quote. He always wanted a daughter. Okay, so keep in mind, guys, that Zahara was adopted before Shiloh was born. So he had a daughter. Brad Pitt had a daughter. And I know this is a source that is saying this, but the sentiment here of, oh, Brad Pitt always wanted a daughter, and so when Shiloh was born, he was bursting with joy, and it's painful that Shiloh has chosen to drop his last name. Yeah, not great. Not a great sentiment here. Yeah. Zahara is black and adopted, correct? Girl, shut up. Not you, Green. This is at Brad. Yeah, and something to also keep in mind with Brad Pitt is he has one of the best PR teams in town, and it is why he has like been able to kind of maneuver through these various incidents and reports, speaking to how horrible he is and how abusive he was, especially the plane incident. And I think more people have become aware of the fact that Brad Pitt is not some golden boy here, but he has still managed to, at least in Hollywood, has managed to maintain a sparkly reputation. Yeah. The reminders that he's lost his children is, of course, not easy for Brad. He loves his children and misses them. It's very sad. He's still happy with Inés de Ramon, the source continues, but the distance from his children pains him. Well, guess what? They don't fucking want anything to do with him. This is not something that he like because Angelina Jolie is keeping his kids from him. They don't want anything to do with their father. Like, why do you think they are dropping the Pitt last name? And remember this. Remember when Pax posted this after Brad Pitt won his Oscar and he thanked his children. He said, thank you. Like, I love you. You color my world. Blah, blah, blah. And Pax posted, a terrible and despicable person. You have no consideration or empathy towards your 4 youngest children who tremble in fear when in your presence. His adult son posted this. Or sorry, let me check Pax's age. I like that. Pax Jolie. Pax is 20. Oh my God. I'm having one of those weird moments where I've paid attention to pop culture long enough that it's kind of freaking me out that the kids are the age that they're at. The twins are 15. I'm not saying this in a parasocial way. I'm saying this in I remember the People magazine spread when the twins were born. And now they're 15, which is, yeah, my God. I mean, Shiloh is 18. Okay, so Pax is 20. Back to this post. You will never understand the damage you have done to my family because you are incapable of doing so. That's his son who wrote this and put this on social media. You have made the lives of those closest to me a constant hell. You may tell yourself and the world whatever you want, but the truth will come to light someday. So, happy Father's Day, you fucking awful human. Read him to filth. Read him to filth. Fuck. How do I do the open tab thing again? Oh, there we go. Okay. Brad still loves all his kids tremendously. Another source close to Pitt tells People the whole process has been very hard for the whole family. As previously confirmed to People by someone familiar with the matter, Shiloh's documents were filed on Monday, May 27th, which also happened to be her 18th birthday. The teenager is requesting a new legal name, hoping to go by simply Shiloh Jolie. So the kids are Maddox, 22, Zahara, 19, Shiloh, 18, Pax, 20, twins Knox and Vivian, 15. Shiloh isn't the only child of Jolie and Pitt to appear to go by a different name. In the playbill for the new musical The Outsiders, which their daughter Vivian helped mom Jolie produce, the teenager is listed as Vivian Jolie. Last November, while joining the Mu Pi chapter of the Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority at her college Spelman, the former couple's eldest daughter Zahara introduced herself as Zahara Marley Jolie. And there have also been many important moments in the kid's life that only Angelina is a part of. Like, the kids have distanced themselves from him. All 3 apparent name changes came after years of reports of strain in Pitt's relationship with his children since Jolie first filed for divorce and sole physical custody of their kids in 2016. In August 2022, a Pitt source told People that the actor was hoping to soon reach a better place with his children amid the ex's ongoing custody battle. They explained that it's been a sad situation for years. Since Angelina filed for divorce, Brad has been focused on having the best relationship possible with his kids. Oh, he's such a good dad. It's been very difficult for him. Many times there have been long gaps where he didn't see the kids at all. So the recent, and again, I don't have like all the research that I wanted to get together to go over this whole Chateau Miraval thing, but this is the most recent incident in the timeline here, and it has to do with a winery that Pitt and Jolie bought years and years ago together. And it's like a whole long thing, but they'd agreed not to sell the other, their share. They have 50% share each. They agreed not to sell unless they both had agreed. And Jolie said she would sell her half to Brad because she wanted out of it. And he then wanted her to sign an NDA saying she could no longer speak about any of the abuse, like any abuse allegations. He wanted her to be silenced through an NDA, and she said no. So, okay, let's move on to talking about the FBI report from the plane incident in 2016. Okay. So this was the September 2016 plane ride that led Angelina Jolie to file for divorce days later. And she has also, in recent years, filed a FOIA request to get that report. Dramatic new details about the mid-air meltdown that ended Brad Pitt's marriage to Angelina Jolie but did not lead to criminal charges are coming to light in newly surfaced FBI investigative records obtained Tuesday by Rolling Stone. The records include an interview summary in which Jolie purportedly told FBI officials that Pitt yelled at her, grabbed her by her head, shook her, pushed her into the bathroom wall, and repeatedly punched the ceiling of the plane during an initial outburst about 90 minutes into the private jet flight that departed France and made a pit stop in Minnesota before eventually landing in Los Angeles on September 14, 2016. So a couple things to note. A flight attendant, a third party who had been on that flight, was the one who called for help. Angelina was not the one who made the call. And so the fact that it was a third party who had witnessed what went down on this plane is a good indicator that what the report is saying went down. Second thing, the FBI had found credible cause to charge Brad Pitt, but decided not to bring charges. And Angelina and her children have said that it has been unclear as to what happened with the end of this investigation. Like, there was probable cause, but then swiftly it was decided, the DA decided not to bring charges, and it has been very unclear as to why. Like, they don't have all of the details. Jolie said Pitt's actions frightened the couple's 6 children, who ranged in age from 8 to 15 at the time. When one of the kids allegedly called Pitt a prick, he bolted at the minor like he was going to attack. And supposedly this is Maddox, I believe. Maddox, who wrote that post about his father. At that point, Jolie jumped up and grabbed Pitt around his neck with her arms like in a chokehold, according to the report summarizing Jolie's version of events. Pitt purportedly threw himself back, pushing Jolie into the seats behind them, causing injury to her back and elbow, she told investigators. According to the highly redacted paperwork, Pitt allegedly consumed multiple alcoholic beverages during the flight and at one point poured beer on Jolie and the blanket she was under. Another thing to note, Brad Pitt has owned up to being an alcoholic, has owned up to being drunk on this flight, and has not denied the plane incident. So he hasn't admitted to the specifics of what went down, but he has admitted to having a drinking problem, and he has not denied that shit went down and that the way he handled a domestic situation was not the best. But of course his lawyers would tell him not to admit. Right. Of course. When the plane landed, it also had $25,000 worth of damage from spilled red wine, Jolie claimed. Jolie said Pitt's alleged behavior didn't feel real and left her feeling scared and like a hostage. She claimed Pitt pushed her again when she suggested taking the couple's children to a hotel to get some much needed sleep after landing. "You're not taking my fucking kids," Pitt allegedly yelled in response. Jolie detailed her injuries to FBI investigators, including a rug burn type wound on her right hand. When asked about an apparent scratch on Pitt, she replied that it could have been from her, though she believes she had him in more of a chokehold. The paperwork states. The fact that both parties had apparent injuries likely complicated the charging decision for investigators. The files obtained by Rolling Stone also said that Jolie was personally conflicted on whether or not to be supportive of charges. Remember, Jolie was not the one who made the call. It was a third-party witness who had been on the flight. At least that's what her lawyer expressed in a call with investigators in December of 2016, weeks after prosecutors made their initial decision to decline charges. After reviewing the document, representatives of the United States Attorney's Office discussed the merits of this investigation with the case agent. It was agreed by all parties that criminal charges in this case would not be pursued due to several factors. The FBI case agent wrote in a report memorializing a November 22, 2016 meeting. In response to allegations made following a flight within the special aircraft jurisdiction of the United States, which landed in Los Angeles carrying Mr. Brad Pitt and his children, the FBI has conducted a review of the circumstances and will not pursue further investigation, even though, again, there was probable cause to charge Brad Pitt. Laura Eimleiner, a spokeswoman for the FBI's field office in Los Angeles, said in the statement in November 22nd, 2016, no charges have been filed in this matter. Jolie filed for divorce within days of the jet confrontation. She and Pitt, 58, that's his age, were later declared legally single, but their custody arrangement remains in dispute. The FBI files obtained by Rolling Stone were sent to Jolie's lawyers years ago as the result of an earlier FOIA request. As her custody battle with Pitt continues, Jolie is now suing the Justice Department as a Jane Doe plaintiff. She's asking for a more thorough search of government records for non-exempt files related to the 2016 probe. Politico first speculated that Jolie was the anonymous plaintiff behind the March 2022 suit, and Puck confirmed the hunch on Tuesday. I just want to show you some. This is from the FBI report, which again was only obtained because Jolie filed a FOIA request. On September 14th, 2016, Jolie's marriage came to an end. On that day, Jolie-Pitt and her children were flying to Los Angeles from Chateau Miraval. Though throughout the long overnight flight, Pitt was physically and emotionally abusive to Jolie and their children, who were then between the ages of 8 to 15. After that flight, for her family's well-being, Jolie decided to file for divorce. As documented in a lengthy and detailed FBI report, Pitt's aggressive behavior started even before the family got to the airport, with Pitt having a confrontation with one of the children. After the flight took off, Jolie approached Pitt and asked him what was wrong. Pitt accused her of being too deferential to the children and verbally attacked her. An hour and a half later, Pitt abruptly walked over to Jolie, demanding, "Come here," and directed her to the back of the plane. He pulled her into the bathroom and began yelling at her. Pitt grabbed Jolie by the head and shook her, then grabbed her shoulders and shook her again before pushing her into the bathroom wall. Pitt then punched the ceiling of the plane numerous times, prompting Jolie to leave the bathroom. As she exited, one of their children asked, "Are you okay, Mommy?" Pitt yelled back, "No, Mommy's not okay," and started deriding Jolie with insults. When one of the children verbally defended Jolie, again, this is supposedly Maddox, Pitt lunged at his own child and Jolie grabbed him from behind to stop him. To get Jolie off his back, Pitt threw himself backwards into the airplane seats, injuring Jolie's back and elbow. The children rushed in and bravely tried to protect each other. Before it was over, Pitt choked one of the children, struck another in the face. Some of the children pleaded with Pitt to stop. They were all frightened. Many were crying. With nowhere to go and to avoid Pitt's wrath, Jolie and the children sat still and silent under blankets. Nobody dared to go to the bathroom. Pitt periodically emerged from the back of the plane to yell and swear at them. At one point, he poured beer on Jolie. At another, he poured beer and red wine on the children. After many tense hours, Pitt finally fell asleep. Jolie then arranged for separate transportation at the airport. After they landed, Jolie cautioned the children that no matter what Pitt did, they should not intervene. She then went to wake Pitt up and told him that she and the children were going to a hotel. Pitt once again screamed at her, pushed her down yet again. He shouted that nobody was getting off the plane and prevented the family from deplaning for 20 minutes. After a child intervened and demanded to leave, Pitt finally relented. But once outside the plane door, Pitt again physically abused one of their children. He also grabbed and shook Jolie by the head and shoulders, causing one of the children to beg, "Don't hurt her." He let Jolie go, but then called her a bitch before adding, fuck you all." Jolie and the children then left and made it to a hotel. 5 days later, on September 19th, 2016, Jolie filed for divorce. Shortly after this, Brad Pitt supposedly got sober because of his drinking problem, which is detailed in this plane incident here. Having been alerted to Pitt's conduct by a third-party witness, you guys. Look, I know that most of us in here are not of the mindset. I would like to say all of us in here, but you never know who's watching, are not of the mindset that, oh, powerful man versus woman, the woman is lying. But to the people whose instinct is to be like, Angelina Jolie is lying, does it carry any weight for you that it wasn't Jolie who called? It was a third-party witness, aka a flight attendant on this private plane. The FBI, and there's also the kids, of course. So what? Angelina Jolie and the kids are lying? So after a third-party witness alerted the FBI, they launched an investigation after interviewing various witnesses. They interviewed various witnesses, and the FBI agent who conducted the investigation concluded that the government had probable cause to charge Pitt with a federal crime for his conduct that day. And the agent prepared a probable cause statement for referral to the United States Attorney's Office for prosecution. And everything that Angelina has said has always remained consistent when it comes to the plane incident. Yeah, and as Rosie writes here, this is just one incident that was publicly documented. Who knows how many more existed? Right. Also relevant to this motion is what happened after the family finally got off that plane. When the flight landed, unbeknownst to Jolie, a still unknown flight crew member reported Pitt's violence to the authorities. The FBI and Department of Children and Family Services then independently opened investigations, and both agencies conducted interviews. Though probable cause was found to charge Pitt with a federal crime, the U.S. Attorney's Office ultimately declined to press charges. The FBI's later internal review concluded that the investigation and charging decision repeatedly violated Jolie's and their children's victims' rights. To protect her right to appeal Judge Oderkirk's biased and facially unfair ruling, on March 12th, 2021, Jolie filed two related evidentiary proffers: an offer of proof and authority, RE testimony regarding domestic violence, and two, an offer of proof and authority, RE testimony regarding testimony of minor children. I believe this is dealing with the custody case. To ensure that no member of the public could access these documents, Jolie filed both proffers under seal. And this all came to light. Remember, we only have this information. We only have the FBI report because of the FOIA request and the lawsuit that Jolie brought against the agency. The FBI lawsuit was revealed earlier this year, and this was in 2022, when a judge decided to allow a woman, presumably Jolie, to file a FOIA request using a pseudonym. The woman was also seeking to keep the case entirely sealed, according to a March 2022 federal court document posted online by Political's Josh Gerstein, who quietly broke the news in April. The judge did not allow the case to be sealed, and details now available in that case make it clear that Jolie is the plaintiff. Interest in the 2016 incident was piqued this week after the publication Puck reported earlier this week that Jolie had amended the FBI lawsuit to include the fact that an agent investigating the incident had presented a statement of probable cause to the chief of the criminal division of the U.S. Attorney's Office in L.A. Pitt was never charged in connection. Still, the allegations Jolie made to the FBI about her then husband's behavior do not show him in a flattering light. Far from it. Both parties have had this information for nearly 6 years. So to file an anonymous FOIA request for information you already have that's been used in previous legal proceedings serves no purpose other than to inflict pain, a source close to Pitt noted Thursday. It's unclear why Jolie would seek to file a FOIA lawsuit under a pseudonym if she already had the information in 2017. The couple have been locked in a custody battle since she filed for divorce in September 2016. Brad Pitt should have kept his ass working at El Pollo Loco and never become a celebrity. Trying to see if there's anything else in this story here. He allegedly pushed her. Okay. One of their kids asked if mommy was okay. Jolie said, Pitt yelled, "No, mommy's not okay. She's ruined this family. She's crazy." At that point, one of the children allegedly yelled, "It's not her. It's you, you prick." I think that's the redacted word here. The heavily redacted report then describes a larger altercation that appears to have involved more than one child. Pitt would start up a new rant every 30 minutes and pace through the plane yelling at everyone. According to Jolie, she said the ranting felt constant. He allegedly yelled at them, "Fuck you, I'm fucking leaving you," got off the plane, apparently to smoke a cigarette. Jolie told the agents she and the kids were shell-shocked. After Pitt returned and the family embarked on the second leg of the flight, the ranting started up again. This time he allegedly berated her for breaking up the family. This did not feel like a drunken rant, but it felt angry, pointed, and specific, the report said. Jolie told agents that as they were about to land, she told the kids to get their things, then told Pitt that they were going to a hotel to get some sleep. He allegedly yelled that she wasn't taking the kids and jumped out of the bed he was in and pushed her. A Pitt source would later tell Page 6, Brad may have been drinking and admits that he yelled at his son, but he insists that he did not hit him or attempt to harm him. It was a confrontation that got out of hand. The FBI was not involved at that point, but was expected to join the investigation because I like how Brad Pitt and his team are just using sources to try and say, like, that didn't happen, but he does have a drinking problem. Pitt got sober soon after the airplane incident and told GQ in May 2017 that truthfully I could drink a Russian under the table with his own vodka. I was a professional. I was good. He added that now he was drinking cranberry juice and fizzy water and had also started therapy. Oh, amazing. Is this the GQ report? Maybe it's not this one. I was trying to find an interview from when I thought it was the oh yeah. Oh, it is in the GQ report. Brad Pitt. Let's see. Brad Pitt, GQ. Yeah, here it is. God damn it. Sorry, guys. This is an article from 2005. So to archive this. Yeah, I think looking back on interviews and stuff with Brad Pitt, who again has an incredible PR team. He has been very successful in maintaining his pretty boy, golden boy image in Hollywood, and has not ever faced any type of reckoning Even though he was called out for continuing to work with Harvey Weinstein. Remember that situation where Brad Pitt had been dating Gwyneth, and Harvey Weinstein came after Gwyneth, and Brad Pitt claimed that he was going to fight Weinstein when he found out what he was trying to do. How he was like coming after Gwyneth, but that he didn't fight him, and then he continued to work with him. Okay, so this is from 2005. This is him talking about, this is when he was still married to Jennifer Aniston. Tall and loose in a white sweatshirt and jeans, sporting his puppy pelt buzz cut and an easy grin, Pitt leads me towards the door. He's got a cantilevered stride, recognizable from his shirtless rolls, bringing to mind the cunning way his long, hard breastplate of a torso seems to attach to his hips like a snap-on piece. Okay, this might be the horniest profile I've ever read. Amid the chirps and tweets and the late-day sun squeezing hard through the branches, we small talk down the path. Me telling him about a funny call I just got from my kid, which reminds him of a phone message he just got from his mom. I'm disappointed in you, his mom says. I'm angry with you, but whatever you do, I'll always love you. Pitt quotes her as saying, which he clearly enjoyed. All my bitches are mad at me right now, he says with a laugh, declining to elaborate. There's something about a man referring to the women in his life as my bitches that is a red flag. If ever in an interview, if ever I were to refer to my mother in this way, when clearly I had done something to warrant my mom saying, I'm disappointed in you, I'm angry with you, but whatever you do, I'll always love you, knowing Brad Pitt was probably deserved that his mom's disappointed in him, and to then say all my bitches are mad at me right now. Basically, yeah, hoes mad. I've never heard a man refer to his mother as one of his bitches. Is this not like, and again, this is from 2005, but I think when examining a figure in Hollywood who has been, who has all these really, really terrible allegations all around them, and whose children do not speak to him and want nothing to do with him, and all the various reports on the abuse that his family faced under him. When you go back and look at that guy, here he is in 2005, and I know it might seem small, it might just seem like one line, but it's not. Like, I think it's one of those when people show you who they are, believe them. My mother would do a late-term abortion on me if I called her my hoe. I just like, what a weird and awful thing to say. All my bitches are mad at me right now. That includes his mom. He says with a laugh, declining to elaborate. Also, I need to know who wrote this article that is the horniest article of all time. Lucy Kalin. Oh, sorry. This must have been when he was... No, sorry. This was as he was... as Jennifer Aniston was divorcing him. So this was Mr. and Mrs. Smith era, the infamous affair, Jennifer Aniston divorcing him, and this piece says, with a divorce in the works and paparazzi in his rearview mirror, Brad Pitt should be in lockdown. Instead, he's having a candid conversation with Lucy Kalin about how it feels to be the most hunted man in Hollywood. Oh, the victimization that is popping through in just that descriptor there. And now you think like all my bitches are mad at me right now. So does that include Jennifer Aniston? Jennifer Aniston, the wife, your ex-wife, a person who you hurt very deeply, is also included. And I'm guessing that's now that I'm realizing the context here, I'm sure that's what this is from. I'm disappointed in you and angry with you, but whatever you do, I'll always love you. I'm sure that his mom was saying that in regards to the fact that he cheated on Jennifer Aniston. Which makes this even worse. To laugh and say all my bitches are mad at me right now. Huh. One random gross thing I remember about Brad from back in the day was that he was really into Girls Gone Wild, which was hella problematic. So much that he had Jennifer Aniston gift him a ton of DVDs of those weird ass movies. I do not remember this. What the fuck? Jenna's been too nice to him in the media. Yeah. Yeah, I feel like she's got a lot of dirt. I feel like if she were to ever do a tell-all, anyway, I wanted to look up this journalist who is so horny for Brad Pitt. So horny for Brad Pitt. Why is every rich and famous person such a freak? There is something that I think happens when you reach a level of fame and wealth where, like, look, even with powerful people, power corrupts, correct? And with wealthy people, it's like, oh, they don't take no for an answer. But there's something that happens with celebrities where so frequently they do not seem to exist in the same world as us. But I also want to be clear that there are plenty of non-famous, non-wealthy men who are abusive. So Brad Pitt being a piece of shit to the women in his life and to his children is not something that's specific to him because he's a celebrity. Now, the protection that he's afforded certainly comes from his status in society. But the weird and freaky shit, I have plenty of stories. I've told some I won't tell. But my conclusion is celebrities get to a point where they have it all. They have everything. They have everything that they could want. And they then, like, there's no rules. They want more and more. I don't know. Maybe I haven't come to a full conclusion, but it's also something that I think is connected to wealth and power. So I guess when I say celebrities exist in a world, or think they exist in a world outside ours, that includes wealthy, powerful people, not just A-list film stars. If I become rich and famous, I'm going to be corrupted. Only reason I'm not is because I'm broke. Well, I don't think that's... No, I don't think you have to. I don't think it's an automatic thing. I don't think if you become rich and famous, you must become a shitty person. There are examples of rich and famous people who seemingly just live a quiet life out of the public eye, don't seem to be raging assholes, abusive pieces of shit. I don't accept that. I don't accept that it's a given if you are rich and famous that then you will just become a shitlord. Because I almost feel like that's an excuse then. Now, I don't know if what we want to do here is start naming names of like, oh no, this person's good, because we don't really know. And there's nothing worse than when you think someone seems to be a good person, like one of the rare ones, then you actually find out that they're the biggest monster of them all. Milkshake duck. The king of milkshake ducks. Like maybe wealth just hits you in the head so hard that you go crazy. Well, my experience being around extreme wealth, like in clubs, in the entertainment industry, like some of well, no, I guess I would keep it mostly to that. Is that people who have what I call more money than God do not think that rules apply to them. And then you add in fame, right? You add in celebrity status where everyone in your life is a yes man, and there are things that you get away with that normal people wouldn't, that people who don't have the status and all the personal benefits that come along with that status, people who don't have that, they don't live in that world. Like they do play by different rules. Yes, they really do. And for a lot of them, you can see oh, there's a problem. I'll just buy my way out of it. Like there is never any problem that money can't solve type of mentality. I agree with nearly everything you said, but would you say the wealthiest, most powerful people whose names you will never know create the system, and the names you do know take the shit for them? I don't think it's like separating out who's created the system and who are like the soldiers who take the hits for those who created the system. They're all part of it. Like people who are less powerful than Harvey Weinstein upholded the system that allowed him to act with impunity, that allowed him to terrorize and victimize for years. And that was because of the power that Harvey Weinstein had. But these were the people who, they were holding the walls up. You know, they were keeping that roof. They were keeping that roof dry. Like they're all part of the system. But yeah, like I said, it's being an abuser is not relegated solely to the powerful and the you know, the rich and the famous. But the protections that you are afforded and the ability to continue on without your life or without facing repercussions come from having those statuses. Yeah, so it's just like a really I don't know. It's a really awful situation because the kids very clearly have not been shielded from their father's abuse since that abuse was directed towards them. And they very clearly have chosen their mother over their father. At least the older ones have. I don't really know what's going on with the twins, the youngest ones. But the older ones have shown repeatedly that they don't want anything to do with their dad. And it makes me really sad for them. Like all of the you know, oh my God, it's Brad Pitt, it's Angelina Jolie, like all of that stuff aside, at the core of this are kids who were abused and who have to deal with the trauma of a broken family, and also then that being being scrutinized because of the celebrity attachment to this. Vivian is one of the twins that dropped Pitt from her name. Oh, right. She's one of the twins. Okay, sorry. I'm failing to keep the names in the order straight. Exactly. I sorry, I was reading a message. I hadn't heard about the plane shit till yesterday when that was like 15 years ago or something. No, it was 2016. The plane incident happened in 2016, and it's continued since. And when I first started off, I was like, I haven't gone through every single report and compiled everything to do like a 2-hour deep dive, but the plane incident is where all of this kicked off. And I think it's one that's really important to know. If you know anything in any part of this, you should know the plane incident and those important details that I mentioned, where this is available now. Like, these details are available for the public to read. This is not some something that's being fought through the pages of TMZ and People. It's available because of the FOIA request. The fact that there was a witness, a third-party witness who called in to the FBI and not or who called into law enforcement, and it was not Angelina Jolie, that Brad Pitt, that they found probable cause to charge him, but that the state decided not to prosecute him, and it's unclear as to why. Like, it was pretty closed and shut and closed. I hope the kids can heal domestic violence during childhood, such as something in her brain. I have terrible PTSD from it. Thankfully, they have seemingly great parent in Angelina. Yeah, and they were 8 to 15 when this happened, so they were young enough. They were young enough that kind of damage is, it's long lasting. But they're also old enough too where I don't even know if it's a good thing, but like, to be really aware of what happened. And so, now at least they're able to make their own decisions, which clearly multiple of them have. But it is sad. Like, it is sad. No, like, this is sad. That this is how it ended up. This is his son. And this is how his son, these are the words that his son says because of the true face that he saw of his father, the one that is hidden, or at least Brad's team works very hard to hide from the public. MJ, thank you for the 12 months. Gabzu, thank you for the tier 1. And Ada, thank you for the prime. Like, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure some of you unfortunately relate to this, where you were abused by your parent and you see them for who they are and what they did to you. And in this case, like, this is a unique case where we're talking about one of the most famous men in the world. We're talking about someone who for a long time has had a great reputation, even with the affairs. It didn't matter. Brad Pitt has been beloved in Hollywood. He continues to work with the best of the best. Like, Quinta Brunson had a whole bit shouting him out at, I think it was the Golden Globes last year. Yeah, and so not only like dealing with an abusive parent, but one where they have successfully hid that part of them from their adoring fans and from people who continue to work with them in Hollywood, or people who do know of it, but it doesn't matter because your dad's Brad Pitt. Like, I almost think that's worse. I almost think the people who do know the truth, the truth of who Brad Pitt is, but continue to work with him because he's Brad Pitt. It's like, it's Brad Pitt. And so I don't know. I'm just gonna quickly read this because now that we've gone over the plane incident, like these words will make more sense. You are terrible, and he posted this on Father's Day. A terrible and despicable person. You have no consideration of empathy towards your 4 youngest children who tremble in fear when in your presence. You will never understand the damage you have done to my family because you're incapable of doing so. You've made the lives of those closest to me a constant hell. You may tell yourself in the world whatever you want, but the truth will come to light someday. So happy Father's Day, you fucking awful inhuman. And then the rest of it's cut off here. And I just can't get over. I can't get over him being like, or the source being like, oh, he always wanted a daughter. Was so overjoyed when Shiloh was born. It's like, so glad that you're ignoring your, or like the adopted black daughter who also does not go by Pitt anymore is ignored in the situation. Anyway, I have 7:30. Okay. I'm gonna move on to the next story. Like I said, I haven't covered everything in this entire timeline, but the plane incident is really important to know if you're gonna know a piece of this. Children growing up in this environment are so vulnerable to long-lasting issues. I remember my ex-girlfriend's 10-year-old sister telling me that she wants to grow up to be strong so that when her husband hits her, it won't hurt. Oh my God. Ugh. I hate that so much. Like, there are too many adults who forget or don't care that children are so vulnerable as they are being shaped and formed by this world that they're so new to. And damage happens easily and quickly, and oftentimes it's forever. You know, that's the sad truth of it, is it doesn't take much. It doesn't take much to instill long-lasting damage and trauma in children. There's a dark irony to this because it's similar to the reason Angelina Jolie goes by Jolie and not Voight. Right. I mean, Angelina Jolie being estranged by her father, who was horrible, dropping his name, and now her children, there being a parallel situation with her children and their father. Children are sponges. They see all this shit and internalize everything. Yeah, children see a lot more than adults think they do. Truly, children always see more. Because think about it, like, we were all kids once. There were things that we saw that we were privy to that maybe we didn't understand at the time, but like, we saw it. Was John Voight, or was her dad abusive before he became MAGA? I believe what Angelina has claimed is that he was emotionally abusive, and he also cheated on her mother. But then again, like in the affair with Brad and Angelina, like, it does take two to tango, but she ended up having an affair as well. But again, when it comes to affairs, those are those are not uncommon in celebrity culture. But Voight's admitted that his infidelity caused his marriage to Angelina Jolie's mother to end. And then the mother raised Jolie and her brother, James Haven, who confirmed, somebody asked me this earlier, also dropped Voight from his last name. After Angelina's mother lost her battle with cancer in 2007, Jolie penned an emotional letter to her in the New York Times. And she noted how Voight's infidelity impacted her. When my father had an affair, it changed her life. It set her dream of family life ablaze, but she still loved being a mother. But yeah, I think I don't know if Angelina has speed. Thank you so much for the 5. Appreciate you. I don't know if Angelina's ever gone in detail, but I believe that the allegations about her father center around his emotional abuse. All right. Next story that we gotta cover here. Oops, that's not the right playlist. Man, maybe we should just burn Hollywood down. Maybe we should just totally bring an end to celebrity culture.